It's Pratt Daddy, also known as Spencer Pratt, biggest star on planet Earth. Thank you so much for tuning in to Hollywood Raw podcast. Make sure to subscribe to Hollywood Raw on TikTok. We got great TikToks. And follow, like, comment, subscribe. Let's go. Hollywood Raw. We love our listeners.
Yo, what's up, Hollywood Raw family? How are you guys doing? Like, subscribe, follow our YouTube channel. I'll follow you back if you do it. Comment down below. What's up, dude?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Listen, when you texted me and you said we got Spencer motherfucking Pratt on the podcast, I like almost crapped myself because I was in Mexico when you texted me, and I am so excited because this has been someone that I've talked about for so many years, and to have him finally come out. And how long have we been trying to get him on the podcast?
It's been months, over 6 months.
It's been longer than months, dude. He's one of those people that we've like checked in on, but the problem is we were going through the wrong channels.
Correct.
So I do have to say that we were going through the wrong channels to try to get him on.
So what happens is all these people in this industry say they represent this person or say they represent that person. Majority of the time, they don't represent this person.
Yep.
You know, maybe at one time they did, but majority of these people don't represent the people. So finally, I DM'd Spencer, and literally 30 seconds later, he hit me back up, and he was like, "Hey, man, he was like, I'll come on the podcast. Just, you know, I want to come on like at a certain time, or I'm not yet." And finally, I reached out to him, and he was like, "Dude, I'm down for next week." And he's coming on. He's coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
So I'm so excited. When we first came up with this podcast, we were like, we listed people that we love to come on, and Spencer's one of those people. And now it's finally happening
because he gets the game. He gets, you know what? Because he gets the game. Not only that, he is the personification of what we do on this podcast, which is humanize and reveal the fourth wall of Hollywood. Correct. Would you not say, like, he's one of those people, like, he's not sugarcoating it. He's not pretending that he doesn't do setup paparazzi photos. He's not pretending that he doesn't enjoy the fame game and all this stuff. And it's like all the things that we expose, and I don't, expose sounds like such a dirty word, but the things that we talk about that is real Hollywood, he doesn't hide away from that. He's like, yeah, I set up paparazzi photos. Yeah, I knew the game. I get it. So I'm excited to just have him on and be like, you know, did you make a lot of money? Did you do it the smart way when you set up these paparazzi photos? You know, like, you know, just the idea of him doing those cheesy photo setups, like that changed the game, I would say, when it came to people monopolizing that industry.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Before we get to him, I'll tell you a quick story. So you were in Mexico this past week. I hit you up with a message saying, "Hey, we got Spencer Pratt," and you're like, "Dude, fucking awesome." But this is what happened here. So Michael Rubin had this 4th of July party. Michael Rubin is a billionaire. He owns a little bit of the New Jersey Devils, a little bit of the 76ers, but he also has a brand called the brand called Fanatics, which is they own licensing to all different sports brands and stuff like that. He had this huge 4th of July party in the Hamptons. Everyone's there. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Michael Strahan, Robert Kraft, every single rapper to James Harden, like Bon Jovi, all these celebrities are there. All of a sudden, the next day after this party, 4th of July was on a Sunday. Next day, everyone's talking about the party. This is the best party ever. The invitations to the party. There were $1,000 bottle of champagnes to this party. And then all of a sudden, Tuesday comes and someone that I know hits me up and says, "Hey, man, why isn't anybody talking about the Meek Mill and Travis Scott fight?" And I said, "Wait, what? Like, no one's talking about this fight?" And what happened was, so this is what I know is a news outlet got the idea that, you know, got women the story, and they called the publicist of Michael Rubin. They said, "Hey, man, we heard about this story of the fight. You know, what's going on? What happened to this fight between Travis Scott and Meek Mill?" The PR company of Michael Rubin says, "Oh, no, there was no beef. There was no fight. But A-Rod was there, and all these girls were throwing themselves at A-Rod." The same PR company represents A-Rod. Now, if you heard a story about a bunch of girls throwing themselves at A-Rod, is that a bad story for your client?
No,
not at all, right? So they're like, so they think they're giving them some juice.
So they shifted the story focus.
Exactly. So they made it seem like, hey, but by the way, but A-Rods, all these girls are throwing themselves at A-Rod at the party because there's tons of models at the party, which first is a red flag. Like, why would you try to avoid this? Like, why would you address this more? But instead, you're going to give us a story about one of your other clients.
Yeah, but this happens all the time. Burn this story and I'll give you a better story or a different story so that you're not out of an exclusive. So this happens all the time in Hollywood.
So the outlet gets when they're like, dude, this was really weird how you handled it. Like, why would you throw us this story that's not even that good? You know, obviously something happened. And what happens is an hour later, they get video of the fight. And they go, well, listen, we see this video. It's at 1:30 in the morning. There's tons of security guards blowing out, kind of get in the middle. And there was no fists were thrown. But you obviously hear Meek Mill yelling at Travis Scott saying, I don't give a shit about Travis Scott while I'm breaking them up. And they call back up and say, hey, well, what about this video? And they're like, whoa, no. The PR company, no. There was just a misunderstanding. Meek was drunk and, they're friends. It's sort of like their friends are fighting with each other, which is like clearly in that video, there was some shit going on. So the PR companies, the news outlet was like, fuck that. We're doing this story. And it's just crazy how they tried covering this thing up. And it actually was covered up for 24 hours. No one was talking about it until finally someone had video, and it's just crazy how that shit comes out. I don't know. I thought that was
dude. I'm not even surprised they try to cut. I mean, I literally, as you're saying, I'm like, this is the stuff that happens all the time that no one ever knows about. Like, oh, instead of doing the Brad, Pitt and Jennifer Aniston holding hands photos, instead do this other photos of Oprah instead. It's like they just will transition it so that they still get an exclusive, but the one that they wanted out doesn't go out.
Exactly.
This happens so much.
This is the shit that we kind of talk about on this podcast. We always like to say we humanize Hollywood. We reveal the fourth wall of Hollywood. So if you like that stuff, make sure you like and subscribe to the Hollywood Raw podcast, where we interview everyone from the celebrities to the publicists, the managers,
paparazzi,
the bodyguards, the paparazzi. Like we make it understandable for you guys because you guys want to know the truth. So do we. And that's what we kind of discuss.
Well, you know what I think it is? I think it's really kind of like our tagline is, if they're on our podcast, they're interesting, because that's why we have them on here. We want to talk to them and we think other people will find them interesting. So even if you are going through our podcast and you're like, oh, I don't recognize that name, don't skip it, because those are some of the best podcasts we have. It might be a paparazzi. Like, we had Jessel on, who is the royal paparazzi. Such good stories out of him. Fletcher Green, maybe you don't know the name because you're not into the YouTube pop culture, but Fletcher is
crushing with
huge when it comes to, the Hollywood Fix and knowing the ins and outs of celebrity culture. And he's also a paparazzi. So like, again, if they're on our podcast, they're interesting.
Exactly. Before we get to an interesting person, Spencer Pratt, we do this thing where we read your reviews live on air. Dax, tell us why it's important.
It's important because this is really the way that, we go up on the algorithm with iTunes. If you guys can leave a review, 5 stars, say something kind about us, whatever it is, this is kind of our form of payment from you guys, because this is how we get paid. No, but we just want more listeners and that kind of stuff. So we're going to read a review. I got one right here. This one is from CDAL. It says, awesome. Just discovered this pod. Great interviewers with industry experience, engaging, and the guests are always top notch. Excellent, guys. Give me a job. Laugh out loud. So I think I may have read this one, and I apologize, but sometimes I can't remember which ones we've done. As I was reading it out loud, I was like, I think I may have read that one.
Okay.
Anyway, so thank you, CDAL. Appreciate that. And if you guys, we've tried to make it easy on iTunes. Just scroll down and you'll see where you can leave a review. So we appreciate that. Also, you can call us, leave us a message. We got the phone line up and running. It's 833-HWR-LINE, 833-HWR-LINE.
Yes. So with that said, Dax, I'm so excited for today's guest. I'm so excited. Tell us about our guest.
So today's guest is someone we have tried so hard to get on this podcast, and it is finally happening today. We first met him on the TV show The Hills back in the day, where he met the love of his life, Heidi, and a couple of them became known as Spidey. He was on the Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, Wife Swap, and now on The Hills reboot for MTV, Mr. Spencer Pratt.
Spencer, thank you for coming on the podcast. We've been trying to get you for a long time, reaching out to every single person who says they represent you, and we find out they don't. So it's been kind of wacky, but I want to let you know something. I told you before you came on, we want to kiss your ass because we think you are so intelligent, you are so beyond media has become today. You know, Dax and I were both at TMZ. Dax actually was looking at your photos from when you and Heidi first started dating. Dax, tell me about your relationship as far as
dude. I am so excited about this conversation because Spencer, I don't know if you ever got to see any of the TMZ episodes, but I was the photo guy at TMZ for 12 years. So my job was going through all the paparazzi agencies and finding the photos. And every time I'd go through PCN and there would be a new photo set of you and Heidi doing something ridiculous, it was the highlight of my day. I was like, gold, this is going on the TV show. This is exactly what I want. And I feel like you two were the pioneers of set up paparazzi photos, and people didn't appreciate it. Like, it was always like the fun thing to joke about it, and people thought you guys were ridiculous, but you guys were pioneers. And now people are trying to emulate that today, and they can't pull it off like you guys did back in the day.
Well, thank you for purchasing all the photos you purchased. I thank you so much. Who was the video guy? I also got to thank. Shout out whoever was in charge of video.
That was Max. Remember Max was the guy with blonde hair?
I don't forget Max. No, I definitely watched the show. I mean, I used to message Harvey asking to be on the show. I was like, I'll work there, please. Like, and he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, please. Why do you leave is the real question. All due respect to everything you're doing now, but it's like, I think, I think Harvey and TMZ are like still the most powerful thing on earth.
It's funny because I get asked that question a lot, and it was 12 years. I was ready to do something different. There wasn't really a next level up to go. I was already managing a big team. So it's not like I'm going to take over Harvey or Charles' job at the end of the day. That they were the ones running the show. So I was like, you know what? I'm tired of talking about all these celebs. I want to talk to them. And that's exactly what I'm doing on this podcast is I get to talk to people like you or Larsa Pippen or, you know, Mark Cuban or any of these other people that I talked about all the time. Now I'm getting to actually have a conversation with them and get to, you know a little bit different aspect of their lives. And that's what's kind of been fun for me.
Does Charles have that much juice there? All due respect to him. Is he like,
he's one of the executive producers. Yeah, he's been there forever.
Was he like one of Harvey's first hires? Like, is he like that level, or he just came
Technically, I think I've worked there. I worked there longer than Charles. I got the job first, but he was already an executive producer over at Extra, so he moved over to TMZ. So he had a lot of clout in the entertainment industry already.
Dang, he's good. Okay, well, we'll stop talking about TMZ. This Hollywood Raw podcast, but a lot of my fame is because of TMZ, or was because of TMZ. TMZ, all due respect, has fallen off. It's gotten a little too, oversaturated with a lot of faces that don't belong there. But it used to be so hard to get on TMZ. All due respect, to
right?
TMZ. It used to be.
It was really hard.
It was like if you got a post, I think it was like for 3 days. I'll be like, oh my god, we're on TMZ. And now it's like, same
thing here, Spencer. Because back in the day, it was like we had to find these either video clips or photos or something to find interesting to pitch out. And if it was interesting, it makes the show. So with you guys, you would do something. I would love the photos. My enthusiasm about the photos would sell them. And then your craziness or cheesiness or whatever was in the photos, I mean, it was just gold. So every time I saw something pop up, it was like, all right, this is going to make the show today.
Well, I got to give credit where credit's due. James Elliott, who was British, that was one of the owners, I think, of PCN. He was a top dog there, but he came from the British Fame magazine game and understood that. So he would always be like over the top, like, the magazines, like we were always trying to do our setups for England because like he felt like that they would appreciate it more and the Hills was big there. So like the over the topness, all the photos and the cheesiness came because he was coaching us on the British tabloid game. And then, then it became like, oh, we can use this fame hoary energy in the US game, like to like more of a mocking Spidey, which is like all good, great, as long as you're buying them too. But in England, they get the shtick more is what he would say. And so we'd always play up for that. So James Elliott, OG, he put me on game.
So I'm not gonna lie. I thought that those set of photos and the cheesiness, I thought that was your guys' idea. That wasn't even that was the paparazzi owner's idea.
He was a coach. We were the players, like he wasn't on the set of any of the shoots. We'd just be on the phone and be like, hemming up him, like whatever his little, I got what he was selling. And I was like, okay. So, obviously he's like, we'd be like, it's Easter. He'd show up with his pap and they'd bring the props and the bunny ears and, Heidi and I would bounce around like bunnies. He's not there saying like bounce around like a bunny hop, whatever, that's,
it was brilliant because like you said, the US market hadn't seen anything like that before, whether or not it worked over in the UK. The US market, I don't think, had seen anyone do this. And that's why it became such a phenomenon with you two and the fame whoring or whatever you want to call it. And people love to hate. And I think that's what made you guys such good reality stars, is people love to hate. And so to have people go, oh, they just want the fame. And the other people go, no, we love that they're like this. I mean, it really, really worked before anyone else kind of got into that game.
I had the best idea. I just didn't figure out how to monetize it. But at one time I had I forget what the website was. It was like hatespencerpratt.com. And you could come in, you could just click a button that, that would be like how many, like it was my own Us Weekly poll where you could just click in like how many people could hate me. But it's like, I had that, but I didn't think about like selling ads on it and like, really, monetizing it. But like, that's how much I was like, this hate thing is the funniest, like, and then you get more polls and more clicks. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing on the planet, So yeah, I definitely played into it. But the one thing I shouldn't have done is, it was good on the selling the paparazzi photos, getting the reality TV checks, but I never thought about how it hurt, like on, it didn't hurt some brands, but who knows how many doors I didn't get open because, people hate them, or Heidi got that also because of me, like just side money. But then again, there wasn't that much for reality TV like nowadays with influencers. There's freaking money everywhere for them to try to grab. So that would be, in retrospect, the one part about like embracing the like hate me energy is that it maybe there were opportunities that didn't present themselves, that brands, but I don't even feel like brands were trying to work with reality TV people back then. So maybe not.
Yeah, but you saw something, because at that time, I guess roughly around 2006, maybe I could get the years wrong, people are running away from the paparazzi. Britney Spears is crazy, kind of taking her umbrella, hitting the paparazzi and hitting her car. But you took advantage of the media in a good way. You're like, I'm going to use it to my advantage to build my own personal brand. And people start to like you and were interested in your story and your storyline. What did you see in the media, or what did you start to notice with the headlines? You're like, man, we could actually capitalize on this stuff with the paparazzi.
So another one of my mentors, Peter Grossman, the photo editor at Us Weekly, he helped ghostwrite our How to Be Famous book. He was like, I was on the phone with him every day, picking his brain. He was another coach all along, expert in he'd already been in the game top level for 10 years doing Us Weekly. So he pretty much schooled me on how dumb everything was and to just run with it. Like in the sense that like he's like, what's real. Heidi knows what's real. Like get as many of these covers, we got I think a $500,000 Us Weekly deal to literally, I have them framed because I still am so thankful for them, where they're going to put me, this was back when Us Weekly is doing 3 million subscriptions a week. Like that's Drake level numbers in the market, platinum albums in front of everyone. And they're going to pay me $150K per magazine to put us with some, all due respect to them, some dumb little line like, I was betrayed by Spencer. Like that's one I'm reading right now, or why I called off my wedding. I'm ready to say I do. Like, baby, like just these, I'm getting paid. You're putting me in this. And then maybe there's some negative stuff in there. Who cares? So he put me on game in the sense that like, don't ever get caught up in and that's the problem with so many of these people. Before, they didn't even want to work with Us Weekly. Pre-Spidey, you weren't getting Angelia Jolie speaking to these magazines, Jen Aniston speaking to these magazines. I'll argue with anybody. I used to buy them. I had a subscription. It was always a photo of them And then sources say they weren't not talking to the magazines like Heidi and I started doing and giving them stories and making stories. So, and then with the paparazzi, like I used to look at their gear and their cameras and I'll be like, if I wanted to hire somebody to take my photo with that $3,000 camera, like I'm paying money. So if I just, whether, you know, I definitely did setups, but even if it was any paparazzi, I'd always make sure they got a shot. And Heidi would always smile. We give, like, you get it. And then if like I knew they were following us, be like, this is what we're doing today. Like, if you think that's worth your gas money and, you know, feel free, but you could just meet us over there. Like, I don't care, but I don't know if you're going to be able to sell that. Like, you have those type of lines of communication with these guys. Like, we never had anything like, you know, everyone's like, they're the worst. Papa, it's like, these guys were all just trying to help you be famous, put you in magazines, get you on Extra, Entertainment Tonight, TMZ, put you out there. Not only that, with an expensive camera, like this is pre-iPhones. It's like, you don't even have that camera. So I never understood the hate. And I always liked them because I felt safer around, you know, because I was the hated guy. And I was like, man, a lot of these guys like me. I'm getting these guys paid. Like, if somebody tried to roll up on me, three of these guys are from Brazil with black belts and in jiu-jitsu. And like, these are bodyguards also. So I looked at paparazzi so differently. And, you know, that's one of the saddest parts why I hate Instagram so much, is they killed the paparazzi game and the tabloid game. And there aren't paparazzi everywhere anymore. And it is now so much more like staged. Like, now everyone's doing setups because these paparazzi can't afford to, you know, be around town driving. So I'm pretty upset with Instagram still.
We say the same thing. We talk about some of the biggest stars out there. Is there anyone that you've seen do a setup that you're like, I never thought that would person, like my person was always Katie Holmes. I was surprised when Katie Holmes started doing setup. Yeah.
I never thought that way because I knew that Angelina and Brad Pitt set up their first set in the desert. Like, Peter was in on the setup with the pap. He was there for the magazine. So once you hear Brad Pitt, that's when I was like, I'm calling all, like, green light. My two favorite fame hustlers are setting up their like pretty much cheating, like confirmation relationship setup, stage photos. So that I never was surprised by anyone after that. I was like,
and we talk about this all the time because people don't realize that this is normal. It is a common thing in the entertainment industry for celebs to set up photos. I don't know why it's a taboo thing. There is such a give and take with the paparazzi. Paparazzi are keeping them relevant, keeping them in magazines. And, you know, they need that when they're relevant. That's when they're booking movies. That's when they're booking TV shows. And so I don't understand why it's a taboo thing to set up a paparazzi photo shoot. Well, everyone does.
Now it's the dumbest thing ever because every celebrity literally sets up their own photos on Instagram and social media every day. It's like, oh, so that's not, you just posted a photo of you doing something in your kitchen and put it out to social media. But if you were to confess photographer photo agency to take the same photo and sell that to outlets instead of literally knowing that goes free everywhere, and they just write at Instagram Getty, who like sources it for them. Like, it's just so dumb. So I don't even play that game. And it's just celebrities. That's why I have a love-hate relationship with celebrities, because they want all the fun part, and then they want to play like they don't want it. That they're too, like, they're so method. They want to act like, oh, I don't even like being famous. Like, I do this for the art. Then go do it at your local theater. You know, like, no, you do it for the money. You do it for the fame. You do it like, so that, but they can't say that because then they think the audience, which nowadays the audience, I don't think cares. Maybe back then they did more, but now everyone you're trying to sell to films themselves all day long. Like, everyone's a reality star now on social media. So I never understood that. And I also knew that all these BWR and all these firms that they're paying $4,000, $6,000 a month, they're calling the paparazzi. So maybe they're not. I would never call the paparazzi, but you pay someone $6,000 a month to call them for you and inform them where you're going to be to get photographs. So then it's like, yeah, technically you don't call a paparazzi, you pay somebody to call them for you. So, but that's the other. So even if you don't call
I love these.
I just love
these gems of honesty are so great.
You get
it's so refreshing.
It's so great.
So good.
It's refreshing, but you understand it, and I appreciate that. And I have to say, I'm based in New York, Spencer, and I've only shot you in New York City one time. It was actually after you're doing the press for the Hills.
You had crutches, right? Didn't you have a broken something?
Yeah, you were going to Condé Nast or some magazine. It was an afternoon, and you were at the MTV Publicist. You guys were in a van, and of all the cast members are there, you and Heidi were the nicest. You were just excited to see me, and honestly, as a fan, I was excited too. And you guys were so going out of your way, and the MTV Publicist was trying to get you guys to keep moving, but you guys were so nice and so appreciative, and I appreciated that. And then to hear you have this conversation and hear you talking about this, it makes me appreciate even more, because you just understand the business and you understand the journalist side, the paparazzi side, and you understand we're just trying to eat too. And again, we're trying to make you look as good as possible either. I wasn't asking anything fucked up. I was trying to make it look good, and I was there to promote the show. And of course, the MTV Publicist is keep going, keep going. Guys, I'm one of the biggest media you're gonna do all day. Just understand it, but it's just it's hard to just keep battling this thing until these people start to realize it.
And I always there's nothing that you can ask the worst thing ever, and I go, oh, no comment, I don't want to talk about that. But prattdaddy.com, so it's even that's your job to even ask those things that people, maybe that's being written about. I wouldn't even take offense when paparazzi would be whatever they said, but that's somebody your job told you that. So I never even, every one of our vacations, we had a paparazzi with us, pretty much traveling with us. That's how much we appreciated. So Asia, my paparazzi in Kauai, is one of my good friends now, because he spent so many, my dad and him are buddies and go surf now, because when you go around trying to hit that many stage shoots and different outfit changes and locations, you're pretty much on a vacation with people. We've had every vacation a paparazzi, from whether it was Mega, Splash, PCN, Backgrid. There's so many paps that are literally we're on vacations with Heidi and I, that we would get margaritas with, and if we had nice bottles, we would drink. So we understood the game from how much I would quiz what photos, when the business was doing well, how competitive it was. So, that's how inside of the game, we were. At one time, I bought a freaking camera, and I was I'm going to start papping fools, because I was they're making more money at one time than actual talent for a minute. It was crazy.
I just hope.
How much do you think?
No, I was just going to ask, because I want to know. I hope you appreciate how much we appreciate you being good to us. And I only speak as one of the members of the community, because we deal with so many assholes. When we have someone like you who understands this and just nice to us, because we have a lot of assholes, and not all of them are assholes, but someone like you understands, we appreciate just as much, because some people think we're bottom feeders. I'm dude, my YouTube comments, people are constantly shitting on me, but it's when you have someone like you, it's I appreciate that, and a lot of other guys do. So I hope you just know that.
Oh, it's no brainer. It's you're filming me trying to make me more famous. Hello, breaking news. Team player.
How much, Spencer, how much do you think you've made off the paparazzi and selling your photos? Because I think that part is where I think you are really smart. There's not a lot of people that, would either get a back end deal or something. They just go, oh, I hate paparazzi, I don't want them around. But I'm no, you could use them to your advantage, and they can make you money too. And you don't have to be specific. I'm just questioning, has it been over a million?
Easy.
Wow.
This was the hardest part of, so when we quit the Hills, this is how much money we were making from selling our photos and stages, that we were we don't even need MTV. We have the paparazzi. And what we didn't understand, which now if I had a time machine, the paparazzi was part of the Hills machine, that, and that drama and all that stuff. They all go together. The reason why everyone, takes photos of Kim and all the Kardashians is Comcast. They're part of this huge thing, pushing them all over the world, airing and all these things, so that the paparazzi photos go to Australia, because the Hills are in Australia, going to England, all these markets. The Hills was keeping those paparazzi photos relevant. So that was the hardest reality check. Obviously we moved to my, Costa Rica, unplugged out of the game. Then we moved to my parents' beach house in Carpinteria. We didn't stay, all due respect to Courtney Stodden, but that level of hustle that she was on for back in a minute, like we left that game, you know, and I mean that in positive, but where you're going around thinking everything in the game. So we didn't keep doing that, but we were making so much money that I thought we didn't need TV because we had paparazzi money.
Interesting.
Which then fizzled, like, you know, every now and then, you know, some money, but not.
The industry changed.
That too. Like, I don't know what year Instagram launched, but that was just glitch in the matrix.
Yeah. So
I wish celebrities didn't post, like, Instagram shouldn't, like, I just talked on this Ringer podcast about the 2003s or whatever. And I was like, celebrities lost the plot. This is what I was telling. I've said to Heidi, and she's like, you're so right. Celebrities used to only try to be relatable once a week in stars, just like us. One photo, like some dumb thing to look like. That was all you were supposed to be. Just like us with the little photo, like they eat ice cream like us. Not like, I don't want to see your Instagram grid looking just like me. You're $100 millionaire. Like, go look famous. Your Instagram should look like a famous person where it's unattainable. Like, I don't want to be I want to pay $45 to watch your straight to digital movie now because you're so freaking cool and rich and famous star, not because you eat the same popcorn as me and brush your teeth like me and da-da-da. So that drives me nuts that all the celebrities turn into reality stars. Like, they used to make fun of reality stars as like this Z-list thing, and I look at every A-lister now, minus Ben Affleck. He's a guy's the man. He can pull it off, but you know. But I look at them all as like Z-list. You are all reality stars. You put too much out there. You film everything, and you talk too much now. Like you're Spidey. They all turn into Spidey.
I do agree there is some aspect of being oversaturated. I think that's why Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't want to have his photo taken, doesn't do like the social media, because he's like, the time I want to give you is on screen. Like, I was shocked when Jen Aniston joined Instagram. I'm like, you're so far above Instagram. What are you doing on Instagram? Like, we don't need you on Instagram because we just want to imagine what your life is like, not actually see it play out. And don't get me wrong, I follow her and I enjoy the follow, but it's weird because she's so famous that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Sorry for all these beeps. I don't know how to turn notifications off. I've tried a million times. I get it because now brands like Smart Water, they will pay her however much if she does an Instagram tag with Smart Water. So where I get the business sense side of it, but you know, as a fame person, I use Leo as an example. I was like, that's why Leonardo DiCaprio, he's not my B-day. Your birthday, Heidi? I thought her birthday was September 15th. I don't know. She just texted me my B. I was like, uh-oh. So yeah, Leo is so good at that. But he also comes off not like some stars try to do that and it comes off like, oh, get out of here. You better be Leo level famous to try to play that. Benicio del Toro, another one. I don't know what he does. And he even had a baby with Kim Stewart, you know?
Yeah.
So wait, what's Heidi's birthday?
Now I'll read this. It's usually September 15th. Now let me see.
Yeah, I just Googled to make sure.
No, she sent me shoes she wants for her B-Day. So it just said my B-Day exclamation point, and you couldn't see the shoes in it.
Wouldn't that be great if on the podcast you didn't realize it was her birthday?
I mean, somebody just told me that I said my age was wrong in the Heather McDonald podcast. They messaged me like, hey, just so you know, you're turning 38, not 39. I'm like, thank you.
Who's so like a celebrity that reached out to you that really you're like, man, this is fucking awesome, that A, was either a fan, or B, was like, dude, I respect what you're doing. I respect how you're kind of changing
zero people, but the coolest person in person, Chris Pratt. We've seen him 3 times now, and he comes up to me and he's like, what's up, cousin? He's like, everybody says you're my cousin. I always say, you know it, Pratt daddy or whatever. I was like, are you really telling people that? Can you say that on video, please? But so he's as cool as it gets in person. I rolled up on Ben Affleck at Huckleberry early morning. All due respect to him, I don't know if he was hungover. The mood he looked like he was in. I was like, this could go either way. Cool as possible could be. Did a video. I was like, I love you, Ben Affleck.
Wait, did he recognize you?
I don't think he had woken up yet. I think I had stopped him from getting his coffee. Like it was early. So, and I don't know. I think he was just like, hey, fan, I came in so hot like a super fan. I don't think he thought, he probably thought I was a paparazzi. So Ben Affleck, Rihanna was as cool as could be back in the day. He was so nice to Heidi and said how much she loved Heidi. So Rihanna, obviously Taylor Swift is like the number one best Spidey supporter ever.
Really?
Sends me the freaking Taylor Swift exclusive cardigan and stuff before A-listers held Gunner backstage. When, at her rep tour, she had like the special place where like a big star was there. Who was the big star at the rep tour that had to go?
What's up, Heidi?
That had to go in the no, way bigger. Like there was off in the, I don't know. She had superstars in this little waiting area to see. In the waiting area. And she didn't even have us go there. She had us go right to her backstage. So Taylor, number one, definitely.
Wait, was she like a big Hills fan, or like what made her such a big fan of you guys?
We met her back in the Hills Day a couple times with her mom at Cut, but I was so like, gone thinking I was Tom Cruise that I didn't even appreciate that it was. Also, she was just starting to pop. Yeah. She was right when she was dating Taylor Lautner, and they were on a date there, and I was more excited about like seeing Wolfman, and I was like, "You're the Wolf Kid!" I didn't even give her the credit that was due at that time. But no, when everyone was coming for her with the Kim Kanye thing, I was on my Snapchat when I was getting 8 million views in Snapchat of the year. And like the number one views, like crazy views. I have them all screenshot for evidence one day if anyone doubts I was getting 8 million a snap. And I was on there like Taylor Swift riding so hard because I felt like that hate that I used to get, and they were trying to put on Taylor. I was like, no, I'm not letting this happen to Taylor. And then so she invited us backstage to the tour, and her and her mom were like, thank you for getting Taylor's back when all these people that were supposedly her friends did it. And I was like, I'm here. I'm Swifty.
That is so awesome, dude. You know what?
But no celebrities ever said like, great job, Spencer, for teaching us how to be famous.
I don't see why not, though. I feel like you guys.
Well, ready for a good story.
The way.
Yeah. Ready for a good story.
I'm ready.
This is how I knew we were doing it right. So Tom Cruise was promoting, I think, Mission Impossible or something. And this is when like Heidi and I were as famous as you could be. Like USA Today poll, I framed that somewhere. It is where it was like Heidi, Spencer, Brangelina, Tomcat. Like this was a ranking. And
I remember that poll. I legit remember it.
I almost, if I had tattoos, it would be tattooed on me. So Tom Cruise is being asked about, people still bring this up to me, my friends, like, you remember that day? I'm like, yeah, I remember that day. And there was a big monitor behind Tom Cruise, and it was just showing montages of Heidi and I doing stuff. And then they like interrupt him whenever he's talking about Mission Impossible. We're like, look behind you. Do you think Spencer should give Heidi a big wedding or just a low key? And like the look on Tom Cruise, like he played it off and he's like, Spencer, give her the big wedding or whatever. Like a couple weeks later, our publicist, he was naive thinking I wasn't our publicist. All due respect to my boy, Rick Rhodes, Rick Rhodes at Cohen and Wolf, who was like a firm that did like Taco Bell and like big brands. They didn't have like people. He calls me, and he was like our best buddy, like drinking buddy. And he's like, Spencer, you won't believe it. I just got the call from Tom Cruise's publicist. They just doubled my, fee, whatever, which was a crazy money. They're bringing me over to be on Tom Cruise's team. Like, I'm sorry, I got to take this opportunity. I was like, it's TC player. You got to do that. Like, duh. And he gets the job. 2 weeks later, they just fire him. It was just to get him. They thought he was like so powerful and doing Spidey, and like we were being more famous than Tomcat. Their play, I don't know if Scientology who did this, but they hired him, double paid him, and then he didn't do it. He hadn't even started there, and then once it was like the time, and then he couldn't get his old job back because they were like, you just quit. Like, no. So they literally murked out our publicist. Thankfully, all due respect to Rick Rhodes, he didn't do anything, so it was like, oh, you didn't do anything. You didn't need to hire and fire me, buddy. But that was crazy. So I knew Tom Cruise was like, that.
Dude,
like,
I love this conversation so much because Adam and I are our biggest publicists, and we say this all the time, and we're like, what's the point? Like, you did the same thing. You were your biggest publicist. We have a Hollywood is filled with publicists and agents and managers, and it's like, if you don't hustle your own game, you ain't gonna do shit in Hollywood. It's so true.
I always smile when people come up to me, like in Erewhon and stuff. This happens recently too, and they're like, I want to give you my card. And I'm like, oh, what do you do? And they're like, oh, PR. And I literally I'm like, I'm good. Thank you very much. I do my own. But it's like, I want to be like, how disrespectful of you thinking I need you. I never heard of you. Are you Tom Cruise? I don't know who you are. So if you can't even make your firm where I look at you and go, oh my God, you're Joe Schmo, the biggest publicist in the game. I can tell you're there. I don't want your card. All due respect to all these firms. Also, what I learned is like when people want to work with you, they will find, like with this podcast. Other people have tried to reach out and were like, Hollywood Raw, and all due respect, I was like, and then you DM me and we're like putting that energy, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. But like third party stuff, I never even I don't care if it's like until somebody who's involved with it is reaching out to me, then I'm like, oh, okay. So that's even how I operate. Like,
yeah. And I want to put this out there so people know how I got Spencer on this podcast. I DM'd him and said, listen, I said, what's your email? He's like, dude, just DM me. It's totally fine. You don't have to email me. And he showed up on time, whatever. He showed up on time.
5 minutes late. It was, totally I was helping England recover.
But you know what? I respect that. And also, and I kept telling you, because I've been trying to get you for months. I was like, dude, we're your biggest fans. Like, we support you. We think you're so ahead of the curve, and you've been so intelligent and changed the game for a lot of people, including people like, Kim Kardashian, which, tell me if I'm wrong, were you approached by Kris Jenner to potentially manage or represent Kim?
So this is what I love about the Kardashians. Before I even speak on that, when I said at one time, which is true, Kim was at one level was organizing Heidi's closet on the hills and getting edited out and didn't even make the cut. Then People magazine ran like, Kim's team said this is absolutely false, blah, 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 blah. This never happened. Thank God. The one time MTV, I don't even know if they meant to back me up, but we're like, wait, do we have that footage? Like maybe a couple weeks later, MTV released unseen bonus footage of Kim K organizing Heidi's closet. And it's like, and it just shows you the game. Like you literally just lied to People magazine, didn't even check with, anybody. Kim could have told you, yes, I filmed for the Hills. Maybe she forgot organizing the closet or whatever, but all good. Like that's what your job was as a professional. That was a cool, you got paid a lot. You got paid. Yeah. You got paid a lot. That's freaking, there's a girl with a Netflix show that does that. Like everyone's always Como or Kona. I don't know. People always like, you got to get Maria Como.
Maria Kondo.
Kondo. Exactly. It's like, yeah, this girl has a Netflix show. It's so I wasn't even being shady. So rewind all the way back to the Princess of Malibu. You can go watch it on YouTube. I actually think I have it in my favorites because I watch it over and over sometimes just to like remember that feeling. They zoom in on Courtney and Kim's face. This is their first time they'd ever seen a reality show. At our show, Princess of Malibu, invited to our filming. They are nobody. All due respect, they're just girls from the valley. Their eyes, you can see them twinkling. You see the magic dust hitting their face of when they realize we need this. I don't know if it was 3 days later, a week later. I remember being on the freeway, on speakerphone with Brody as my witness, driving, call from Kris Jenner. Hey, we want to do what you're doing in Malibu with Bruce. And I'm not shading Caitlyn. I don't know how this works, but we're now talking about Bruce. Is Caitlyn now? This was Bruce then. Bruce, and she says, I want to do it with my girls and have you produce in the Valley like our own show. And I'm like, right now our show hadn't been canceled because Linda Thompson and Dave Foster hadn't been divorced. So I'm like, I have my own network, Fox show. All due respect, I grew up in Palisades. Again, the Valley was very different. When I grew up, it's like, oh, the Valley. Oh my God, I wouldn't even go in the Valley. Like, this is literally a mindset. Like I grew up with that. Like, so I literally was like, they want to do a show in the Valley. Like, I literally like that stupid. Like, and like, I'm like, we hang up, Brody. I'm laughing so hard, like a reality show in the Valley. So good for her. She then calls up Ryan Seacrest, who had the first look because of what the red card done. And at the end of the day, like I really thought about it a million trillion times. I don't think the Kardashians would have happened with me, even if I had like brought in whoever I was producing with at the time. It needed Ryan Seacrest to champion it along, be in the building. Ryan's a superpower, so I'm sure he was doing so much that I wouldn't have done to keep it when maybe they were going to cancel it. Him like, no, like I wanted this to, so as all the regret I have, about that call, I truly have thought about it a million times, and I don't think the Kardashians would have been the Kardashians without Ryan Seacrest. But I've also thought about, what if I had called Ryan Seacrest and brought it to Ryan Seacrest? Like, I got the guy. I can't do this, but I'll take a cut.
Yeah.
You know what? So the one thing that I wanted to ask you, because you became famous as a reality star and you know how hard it is to maintain fame in this industry. Do you look at the Kardashians, like I look at it, I'm so impressed because I know how hard it is in this industry. Do you look at it, are you as impressed with the Kardashians as like I am? Because I think like the general public kind of shits on them, but I'm like, no, you don't understand what they have done is a miracle.
I mean, like I'm broke right now. It's impossible to even make money as a real, like the fact that Kim's about to be is a billionaire now, or Kylie's a billionaire. Like these people are history book level awesome. But as a Swiftie, I have to hate Kim, obviously, and until she apologizes for setting up Taylor. But Kris is a freaking genius. Like Kris could have been, I think now looking at things, like she could have started WME with Ari and man, like she could have been a power agent, and so because to manage those personalities and continue making success with so many. Like the fact, like all due respect to them, like that they haven't been canceled for so many different things with how sensitive everyone is nowadays. And you just think, like, I've watched every episode of the show, things that they've gotten away with that. But then again, I've said it a million times, I would be as rich as a Kardashian, and I would be a Kardashian right now if Viacom had got behind Spidey the way Comcast got behind that family. You have a conglomerate that's like, okay, we're in business with them for 10 plus years. Like this is going to be, then I would have at least $500 million right now. If Viacom, CBS, keep in mind, Heidi and I spent $2.7 million of our own money on her pop album, getting all the superstars, anybody that connected to superpower pop music to do her album. So it's bulletproof. Yeah, maybe not live performance, whatever, but streaming downloads, you listen to it, bulletproof, mixing, all the Grammy winner engineers. And we had Tom Moskowitz, president of, what was he president of at the time? He became president of Warner Music Group, but he was president of Asylum.
So like one of the big ones, like Interscope or something?
That level. He was a president of one of the biggest record labels in New York. I'm totally blanking. Atlantic. And he was like our boy, like he was like all in on the project, and he was calling Viacom like, hey, we want to put this behind this and do this for the show and bring them. Like, no, we're not touching Heidi's music. We don't want to follow that. And he's like, I'm a conglomerate. You're a conglomerate. Like, remember what you did with Ashley Simpson? We can do that times a billion, because that show wasn't even close to what The Hills is. And it was just boom, black, but like not even. So right there alone, we could have got to the Lady Gaga money, because we had Lady Gaga appeared on The Hills, performed at a little fashion show, and was able to boost off of that to get, like, that's how popping 5 million views meant back in linear TV at that time. So knowing that, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I was robbed of at least $100 million in music that nobody has the president of a label calling over the president of Viacom. And they're like, no, we're not doing music. She fake works at Bolt House. Like, how stupid do you think this planet is? She's in cover of every Us Weekly, the interns at Bolt House for, like, no, she worked there for 5 minutes, season 1, like this, not breaking the fourth wall, but letting LC have fashion lines. So the control of like LC can make millions, but Heidi and Spencer can't make millions. It was shady. And so, yes, long story short, the Kardashians are incredible in that they can, but I mean, it's just they have magic dust. Look at Lamar the other day commenting, and then Tristan's like, "You already, God brought you back. Don't play twice, and you're gonna, like talking like he's a gangster out here. Like, dude, you're a millionaire NBA player. You're talking like you're in the Big U documentary on like gangsters in LA over here." I was like, this is too good. It was like my favorite comment in so long.
So wait, why wasn't Viacom behind you guys? Why weren't they? Was there a reasoning before?
Because I think they'd already been in a partnership with LC and Cole. Like, I think it was some deep, like, money power struggle with.
But why not go for all of it? Like, why you don't have to limit to just LC. Go with everyone. Make as much money as possible.
I think they thought making the start, like, acknowledging that they never acknowledged we were famous during the show. Like when we had 40 paparazzi outside, they didn't feel like, so that's why also the Kardashians looked so much more famous, got so much more famous, is their reality show showed the paparazzi taking their photos so that was the biggest problem with the Hills, that I thought, break this fourth wall, show that like these kids in Hollywood are popping, like middle America sees 40 paparazzi as you go into area, like, and then go to the table and has the same drama. You didn't take away from the petty, stupid drama. You heightened it. Like, I care about these people. They're celebrities. So that was, if I could figure out who stopped that, I'm not saying I would be writing Tristan Thompson comments on their post, but yes, I don't wish bad things on them.
And did you guys have any say-so when the Hills came back of things that you wanted to change or things that they could do better? For instance.
So here's how the Hills came back. Another biggest mistake in my life. So when I was Snapchat of the year, getting the most fame, popping, hanging out with Taylor Swift, getting the most fame I've ever had in my life, writing for Cosmo every week, doing a Cosmopolitan live show on their Facebook. MTV reaches out and they were like, we want to give you this is when they were putting in big money into digital. They gave me a show called Spencer Pratt Will Heal You. Spent way too much money on the production. Like, we only needed one camera. And I think we should have spent all that money on like marketing and YouTube ads and like talent that we put on it. But like, I had a bigger crew than I just had on the Hills. Like, so they were like in the Spencer business, giving me the MTV account to go live on for every week for an hour, whatever I wanted to do. Then they started flying me every Monday to go when TRL was still happening. It's like 4 years ago, the last season probably. Flying me every Sunday night, first class, suite hotel, and then having me do TRL recaps on Siesta Key, my favorite show on MTV. The executives called me in, top executives. They're like, Spencer, we want to give you and Heidi a reality show about your life. Dumbest thing I ever said in my whole life probably was in that moment. I said, let's bring the Hills back. They're like, the Hills? No, we want to do you. Like, what you got? I'm like, and your crystals and all this. I'm like, no. We got to bring the Hills back. They're like, nobody will do the Hills. I'm like, I start calling people in the room. I get Brody on the phone. I get Audrina on the phone. Start texting whoever. Like, I'm like, whoever. Like, I'll get people on the Hills. And they're like, I don't know. Like, we don't know about bringing back the Hills. They now deny this happened, but I have emails that like about it. So I don't know why, because I think they don't even want to give me credit, which now I don't want credit because it's the worst show ever. So you keep credit for the Hills being back. That's you, not Spencer. Yeah. And I should have said, let's go. My life is so entertaining. I want to make a hit show. All my friends want to make a hit show. Why would I bring back all these scrub freaking bootleg bench warmers that don't even want to put in the energy and want to image craft and not make a success? So, but my goal was to be Jersey Shore. I thought maybe after 10 years of all of these people not being famous, not making money, they would get Jersey Shore energy and we could build a franchise together. And I was thinking long-term, boy, was I wrong. So, yeah, it is what it is. But I learned a life lesson. Spencer, Heidi, back to like priorities. Like, why am I worrying about trying to get Brody famous? Why am I trying to get Audrina famous? Who are these people? Spencer, Spidey, my son Gunner. So it was a great because I'm not giving up the grind. So now I will never pump up another person that I don't think no, Justin Bobby, he's so great. Let's get Justin Bobby. Just BS, trying to no, I will keep it 100. You'll never catch me lying again about anybody trying to make them look entertaining to build a franchise.
So when do we get the Spidey?
Oh, we already started filming. We started filming.
Oh
yeah.
This is great.
So we're on week 3.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
This is great.
Already?
They have MTV, Viacom has the first look or whatever, but they pass. It's not even. Now there are so many platforms that you come to the table with what I'm coming to the table with, like Snapchat Originals, Facebook Watch, IGTV, Patreon. Like now it's like you bring heat, you have the show. It's like the day of linear TV controlling where your spinoff. Like if you have a squad, like all my employees, I have 12 employees. They're the most entertaining women on the earth. Like they are thirsty. They want to be famous. They have drama. They are drama. Like that's what you need. You need people that want this. Like that's success in Hollywood. People, like you were saying, you have to be your own publicist. My team's texting me every day. When are they filming this? Why are they filming this? When they're like, oh, this is what I'm talking about. Not like pulling teeth out of here to get people boring as hell trying to it's crazy. It's crazy. So
this is exciting news. I like this. Sorry, I didn't know this was going on, but I think that the world hasn't. This is what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for this Heidi and Spencer reality show. Like, fuck the other characters.
And there's no fourth.
You guys are the two entertaining ones.
There's no fourth wall being broken because there is no. This is a simulation show. Our camera operator, because the girls love him, because he's like, we have 2 of them. They're like young hipster cool guys, and all the girls flirt with them. And they're always trying to FaceTime, like, come film me. I was like, you 2 are on the cast. Like when we get this really going, the new crew comes. You 2 film. This is meta. Like. You will be filming, but your cast members putting the camera down because the girls love our camera operator directors. I'm like, and they're stars. And, so I was like, this is the show. I'm FaceTiming the executive producer, Alex Baskin at Evolution. I'm putting him on speaker, and he's like, how's the shoot going? And I'm filming, talking about, I'm like, well, any suggestions? He's like, we need that. Just make sure your characters are being themselves. And it's so meta, but it's like, this is what the audience wants, like to hear the top dog producer explaining what makes hit TV and to making sure we're capturing that. Like, yeah.
This is great.
So right now you're in the season 2 of The Hills. Will there be a season 3 of The Hills?
Oh, I will be surprised if they air the rest of this season. Like I'm waiting for the day MTV's like, we're just not airing the rest of the season. Like,
and why do you think it was so bad?
Because the cast came back from COVID with these versions of themselves. They wanted to Instagram post their life. Like they thought the cameras were there to promote their little the cameras are there to follow your real life. So it's not supposed to you image. This isn't a filter. This isn't how you want to look, what you want out there. These aren't skits you're performing. We're not acting so I think that, and then the producers had nothing. So they went with nothing because there's nothing there, and it just looks like that. And so, it's all the cast. I don't blame the producers. They have a hit with Beverly Hills Housewives. It's the same people, same what's the difference? Oh, the cast.
Have you said that to any of them when you guys were filming?
I was yelling at I was yelling at all of them. One of the cast members recently just said, complaining, yeah, Spencer would say that's never going to air. Why are you even talking about that? How dare him? And then it's no, I was trying to tell you, stop wasting this money. These are people's jobs. People here want a franchise. They are here because they believed in this show. They don't want you to hear trying to slang your little product. They want real. So yeah, I was 100%. That's why everyone turned on me so crazy, because I was calling them all out. I'm not even playing pretend with you idiots. Stop this. I know what you're really thinking. I know how you 2 really feel about each other. I know what really happened with you 2. But if I bring it up, oh, Spencer, he's always trying to make drama. He's the bad guy. It's I don't care enough about your storyline and helping you anymore to even, if I was if it was my show and it said executive producer Spencer Pratt created by, then I would have literally been like, hey, Audrina, how do you feel about Caitlyn? Say what you really said about Ashley. Oh, Justin, and you and Brody, you two hate each other. Can we talk about that? I would have done all that, but I'm not getting paid more to do that. That's it. You guys don't want to make a good show? Fine. I'll wait this one out. Bye. So that was where I got with it. Like, I know what's really happening and you guys aren't filming. I know what's really going on in your guys' marriage and what just happened and allegations and who Brandon's friend said did what. And I know all this, but do I care about bringing all this up? No, because you're all going to be like, Spencer's a liar. That never happened. Anything I did bring up, it's like, he just makes things up. The guy did. It's like a bunch of idiots.
Is it weird having to keep people like Brandon on the show because he's more than 10 years younger than you? Is it weird having that kind of
No, because it made sense. I was like, okay, we got a ringer coming in. He was supposed to come in. He was saying he was going to bang Audrina to the producers, and that would have been, we got a young guy hooking up with Audrina, and now maybe Justin and Brody are like, who's this guy? Our storylines are with Audrina. Da, da, da. So, I mean, I see the logic. Did he deliver? No, because he wants to be an actor. Not wants to be. He is an actor. I'm sorry, Brandon. He's acting. So if you're trying to do two things, you can't be a serious method actor and be a reality star. And I think he realized that, and somebody told him that too late in the game. And he was like, oh, I'll just get these easy checks because no one's calling me out for that. So I get it. And I can't hate the player. It's the game, and good for him. He'll continue acting and he'll definitely won't be doing reality. But I did find it so funny the other day. When he got announced on Deadline for some project, and it said like where it shows your like past works, and it's like The Hills, New Beginnings in parentheses. Like, dude, you're famous for a reality show.
For punching his dad.
I think his dad had it coming. All due respect.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. You obviously have gone on the record saying that you guys have spent a lot of money over the years. What do you think was like the one thing that you spent too much money on that you're like, I wish I want to spend money on that?
Security. I was spending like
really?
$10,000 a day on bodyguards. Like I think it was the media. 100% going to Vegas. Like we'd have an entourage. Everyone's $1,000 a day. You travel fees, first class tickets. They're all with us. Hotel suite. They ate with us. I'm cool as hell. I'm not like putting them in bad anything. Everyone, like, thankfully, all these guys still love me. And know if you ask Big D or any of these famous bodyguards, like Spencer and Heidi, the greatest people ever. So, but no, I should have literally just got one off-duty sheriff, like, and spent $1,000 when we go out, and because it was worth it to be secure. Nothing ever happened to us. We never got robbed. Nothing. So, but that was the most money. It was just security.
Was it partly the appearance you wanted to have the big entourage because you're a huge reality star?
That, and I was wearing Jason the Beverly Hills $50,000 watches, and I wasn't buying them. He was giving them to me and you sign something that's like, this happens, like you're paying for it. And, the necklaces with the dripping we were going into his Jason before Drake even knew he was, when Drake was still on Nickelodeon. So, I didn't want to get robbed, because I didn't own the stuff. If I'd owned it, I would have been like, So yeah, and Birkin bags. It's definitely the look too, of course. And I never thought we'd be not famous. So if we were never not famous, and I would have been smart and I would have never got robbed like Kim Kardashian. So
Well, I don't think you consider yourself not famous.
No, but I mean not rich famous.
Yeah.
Like Kardashian famous, because like as famous as the Kardashians are, like there's nowhere I go where I'm not taking photos. People aren't coming up to me. I just don't have the money with it.
Yeah. It's funny you said it, because I can't remember who it was, but someone had said like that's the hardest part about Hollywood, where you can be so famous, but if you don't have money, it's like it's tough.
Kid Rock said
like,
the hardest thing in Hollywood is to be famous with no money.
Well, thank God, not like organically I started selling crystals, because it was a real organic thing that people actually want to buy, and I do have the best ones. So that ended up becoming bigger business than anything. So the fame and the platforms and the audience, I was able to monetize. So without the crystals, I would be tripping, like, oh my God, I'm effed. But now I'm set for life.
Wow.
So crystals are setting you for life?
Pratt
Oh,
Daddy's doing really
my
well.
first year on Pratt Daddy was 2 million. My second year, 1.9 during the pandemic. And then this season of the Hills, because I didn't do any Pratt Daddy and it was all Hills filming, Hills trips was our worst business ever. So it showed me TV is irrelevant to my actual finances. Like I don't actually, TV hurts me when I'm in my office, slanging crystals on Snapchat, going live, doing all that. I make millions. When I do TV, I make thousands. I make reality money.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
What is, and just explain to me. So a lot of people see you on social media with the crystals. What, for people who aren't familiar with the crystals and what they kind of do, the energy, the auras around them, what is it? How did you get involved, and what exactly should you feel with the crystals? So
back in 2009, I was eating at Bay Cities. Told a story a bunch. So if you've listening, you heard it. It's the story. We're at Bay Cities waiting. If you've never eaten at Bay Cities, go eat at Bay Cities. Get the Godmother. It's on Lincoln. It used to be like 45-minute wait. Heidi and I are waiting outside for our Godmothers, and I look across the street. I see this huge white rock. I don't know anything about crystals. I'm like, it looks like a dope, big, X-Men looking rock. So I run across the street. I'm like, I want to buy this thing. Here's my card. I'll be right back. Figure it all out. I got to get my sandwich. He runs it. Boom, run back. I get a call. This is when I used to have business managers. Shout out Barry Siegel. Y'all, I think he's the biggest business manager in the game. That's the type of money I was making. Like I had now. I don't, obviously. So Barry Siegel's team calls me. My business manager is like, "Oh, there's fraud on your credit card." I'm like, "Excuse me?" And they're like, "Yeah, this rock shop just said that that we called and we got it canceled." And I was like, "What are you talking?" "No, I bought that rock." And they're like, "Well, they said it was $65,000 and $10,000 delivery." I was like, "What? What are you talking about? The rock was that much money?" And they're like, "Yeah, but don't worry, we cancel." I was like, No, I want that rock. I like that rock." And they're like, "You want to call back?" I'm like, Yeah, I want that rock. So that's my first crystal. It was a 3,000-pound quartz crystal that I was told was from a volcano in Peru. I don't believe that now that I know more about crystals. I think it was just from Brazil in a mine. But great story. I was picturing it like floating in lava. I was like, "Oh, this has got superpowers." So, then I felt like that crystal started like tractor beaming crystals into my house. So then all of a sudden I just started buying so many crystals. At first I was like, they just looked dope. Like I wasn't like, and then I started reading about all of them and I was like, what? This has these powers? And you start reading about how ancient like civilizations and cultures all over the world believed. And then you start connecting like all these people on these different parts of the planet all believe this stone did this. So you start being like, okay, I believe that. Da, 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 da. Maybe I didn't feel it yet because I was so hyped up on just fame and just excited every day and hustling that I don't think I was grounded enough to even feel any energy from a crystal because I was lit. So then Heidi gets her plastic surgeries and the painkillers were not working. It was tragic. The most pain. I was like, oh my God, freaking out. I'm Googling everything. I'm like, shit, maybe there's a crystal that will help with this because I'm all over the house. I'm like searching. I come up with one that says like for surgical pain, whatever, sujolite. So then I go around the city. I find a $15,000 like museum grade chunk of sujolite and I give it to Heidi. She holds that, sleeps all through the night, no pain. And people could say, oh, it's placebo effect. No. The amount of pain she was in, you're not going to just go hold a rock and go, oh my God, I feel better. Like, I wish. So I was all in, turned into Harry Potter, started getting crystal wands. Like, no joke, I would use my crystal wand and open portals before I'd open it. Like if I was walking into Giorgio Baldi, I would open the portal and then I'll go through it and I would set the intention. Like we went so deep and next, like you can't live on earth level we went. And then I had to like come back from that after a few years because you can't be in society and like have people,
sure.
They would have Britney'd me. I would have had a conservatorship if I had kept on that path of crystal energy. So,
I can't wait for this reality show, dude. This is the shit I want to see.
Yeah,
I want to see portals being opened.
Yeah.
Up,
no.
please.
When we were in Brazil or when we were in Costa Rica, I took all these Lemurian crystals and I made this big grid. You could call it a coincidence. I make this big grid of these Lemurian crystals. Each one's like 3,000. Like these are nobody can try this because it's so expensive. You know what I mean? Like, so maybe when crystals are this expensive and this rare and you do this many in Costa Rica, all of a sudden, full on lightning storm, boom, blows out the Four Seasons Costa Rica generator. All the power goes out. They come with flashlights, and this hotel has been around for 9 years. I'm like, has this ever happened? They're like, no. I'm like, it's my grid. Oh my God, Heidi. Next thing you know, in the lightning storm, Heidi is my witness. UFO, rainbow UFO shooting around, blasting through and back and forth through the lightning. I'm like, oh, I am tapped in here. I am like, so, and then real talk, you can say conspiracy theories, whatever. Black helicopters started following me in real life straight up out of that Will Smith movie. I forget what it's called.
Men in Black?
No. With Shia LaBeouf.
God dang.
No, not Shia LaBeouf. The Will Smith one where he's like, he has the bug. His guy from college puts it in his pocket. He's got the chip. And then the NSA is like chasing him. Oh my God, what is that name? I'll figure it out later. So black helicopters are coming to set.
The Gemini Man?
No, we're talking 90s. It's like, it's really like Tony Scott directed it.
Shit, I don't remember. iRobot. Anyway.
No, you get Will Smith.
I'm just going through all of them right now. There's so many movies.
So black helicopters hovering above hill sets where production would get shut down. And they were like, what is going on? Tinted out, pods on the bottom. And I was like, it's my crystals. Keep in mind, I was collecting meteorites at this time. Real story. Ready for this? You want to believe in conspiracy theories? Get a knock on the door. 2 guys. We're here to inform you that you need to get rid of all your meteorites. They're radioactive. Heidi, watch this happen, because I'm buying up all the meteorites, because nobody's spending this type of money. I was making the hills, buying all the meteorites and everywhere. So 2 guys come to the house and say, your meteorites are radioactive. So I got rid of them, obviously, but I was sleeping with them by my bed. And so who knows? I was tapping into aliens. So I got really into crystals, and then I kept buying them. We ran out of money buying them, and Heidi's like, you can't buy any more crystals, but I'm addicted to buying them. She's like, you have to sell your crystals if you want to buy them. And I was like, I'm not selling my crystals. And I was like, what if I buy a bunch of crystals and then I get to keep the ones I don't sell? And she's like, I don't care what you do as long as you sell the crystals. So that's how PrattDaddy.com started.
And I got to say, because I'm on the website right now, the stuff is beautiful. Like, this is like, I think people, when you talk about it, may have a vision of just like crystals sitting around the house, but it's like
these are specimens,
beautiful necklaces and like amazing jewelry that you are selling on PrattDaddy.com.
Oh, no.
I mean, gorgeous.
So my carvers have been doing this for 40 years. I bought them out of the gem show world. They've been doing it for 40 years, hand cutting all their material. They've been sourcing for 40 years. This stuff that's like, you can't even get now, material that's been mined out. And I went to them. I was like, I want to buy your entire inventory. And they're like, no, we've been doing this 40 years. I was like, here's my number. You guys are in your set 60s. You can't do this forever. Let me be your guy. And then like 3 weeks later, they called me and they're like, okay, we're going to retire and carve exclusively for Pratt Daddy. So no, like, and I'm giving this stuff away. Like, for instance, this gem silica carving that they just sent me, I'm like, I'm keeping this. I'm not selling this for $500. And my carver's like, she's like, old elderly lady. Sorry, she's a senior citizen. If she's listening, I'm sorry, I'm shading you. And she's like, well, I mean, if you want to put it up for like 4,000 and just, I'm like, you were just gonna let me sell this for $500, Cindy. What do you mean? Yes, it's gem silica. What do you mean 4,000? You just said 500. She's like, well, I mean, I don't know how to price these things. I'm like, oh my God, I'm giving stuff away. I always tell people, like, I'm giving things away on PrattDaddy.com. It's awesome. My fish tank is literally just leaking.
By the way, was that Enemy of the State?
Yes, Enemy of the State.
There you go.
Thank you.
So, before I also want to know, I saw that Katie Kerr came to the house and checked out, the hummingbirds with you. Why do you love these hummingbirds so much?
So the day Heidi found out she was pregnant, right at our front door in Santa Barbara, there's this hummingbird. It kept on like buzzing my head. I was like, what is this hummingbird doing? Like, chill out, like attacking me. And then I looked to the right and there were two little Tic Tac size eggs. And then a couple hours later, I come back out, boom, little baby hummingbirds hatch. I'm like, Heidi, this is God. This is like, you find out you're pregnant and we have baby hummingbirds hatch. So I start Googling like significance of birth and pregnancy and hummingbird eggs. And there was all these articles and dimensional things and fairies. And I was like, oh man, this is my spirit animal. I got to tap in on this and start feeding these. And then, so it started 5 years ago or 4 years ago now.
That's all. I remember we had Weintraub on a couple weeks ago. Do you remember when he called you?
I did. He
was with us.
I was like, you really just FaceTime me during hummingbird feeding? Well, if somebody ignores 7 FaceTimes, like I'm doing something, Weintraub. Like I appreciate your managed hustle, but it's like, hello, like I'm ending them. They're like, it's like, but yes.
Is there anything? Have you incorporated the hummingbird stuff with the crystals, like crystal feeders or anything? Because hummingbirds are one of those animals that people love to have in their backyards. Feeders,
I've looked
all that
into
kind of stuff.
that. It's just, you know, right now, once I started doing too many things, like with doing the hills, like I have a multi-million-dollar business. I got to just focus on my crystals and like in the future, like I'm never going to stop feeding hummingbirds. So one day, definitely I'm going to have a feeder and it's going to be, but the problem is like if you're a good hummingbird feeder, you have to clean them every day, boiling hot water. Crystals are so fragile. You start putting crystals on your feeders. Are they going to break? Like it becomes a balance of like what's good for the hummingbirds and like what's a good product. So, but yeah, I mean, I sell the hand feeders sometimes, the ones I use. It was called the Hum Daddy, and some punk stole everyone keeps sending me these videos of this guy on TikTok dressing up like in costumes feeding hummingbirds called the Hum Daddy. I'm like, first off, I'm Pratt Daddy. I sold a product called the Hum Daddy. You made your handle Hum Daddy. You just started feeding hummingbirds, making the hats like my mom made me 4 years ago. And now everyone's sending me these like, you got to step up your game. It's like, no, I actually like feeding hummingbirds. I'm not doing this for views. Like when I was doing this, nobody watched it. Like I was doing it because it was like, oh, it wasn't a thing. But yeah, one more person sends me that fraud, I may snap.
So last thing before we get you out of here, we do a real quick speed round and just like actually a bunch of quick questions. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? So it's just a speed round. So I'll start here. Spencer, the best restaurant in LA?
Don Antonio's.
Okay. Most overhyped restaurant in LA?
Oh, Speed? That's hard. There's a lot of overhyped restaurants. I don't know about that one because usually they're pretty damn good if they got hype. It's hard. Yeah. People are food critic haters.
You wouldn't even think like the Ivy. For me, it's the Ivy.
Oh, but that's only hype for fame. Like I never thought that was good food.
But that again, hyped. It's like everyone wants to go to the Ivy, and it's like the food's not that good.
No, I mean that was to get paparazzi. Like I'd have never eat there.
And actually, it's funny, Don Antonio. I actually found out about that restaurant from you, and every time I'm in LA, I go to it because from you.
I've been going there since I was 13.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's that good.
Yeah. Place where you'll always see a celeb in LA.
Air One.
What is it? Air One.
Air One has turned into that. Air One.
Okay. Who's the biggest celebrity fan of yours that you ever met? Besides, I guess Taylor's one. Do you have one that maybe we haven't talked about?
I feel like John Sally in the Jungle pumped me up more than any famous person. He was my biggest, he was like, you're the real P. Diddy. You're Diddy. Pratt. So John Sally pumped me up the most out of anybody I've ever interacted with.
Okay.
Best date place in LA?
Don Antonio's. No, technically Mastro's Ocean Club. If you get one of the by the window with the waves breaking, it's like every time I go, I'm like, dang, this is ridiculous.
That's a good one. All right, let's say your career trajectory wouldn't have let you be a reality TV personality. What would you be doing right now?
Directing action films.
Cool.
Cool.
Like in Hollywood, or I would have been
whatever. Anywhere.
CIA. They just never came. I was waiting for them at USC every day. I'd be on campus, like I hear they tap you on the shoulder. I'd be looking around. I'm like, hello, Jason Bourne is waiting. It ends up after having a best friend that is in Delta Force and who's been around a lot of CIA. It wasn't meant for me. Yeah. It's not the action I thought it was.
Okay.
Worst celebrity encounter.
Oh, that list is Ed Sheeran was surprising.
Really?
Yeah, I thought he'd be like so nice, and he like tried to have his bodyguards like jump me at Nobu Malibu. Like you're at Nobu Malibu, like outside broad daylight. If you think like I'm not gonna try to Snapchat with you, like bro, go back to England or Ireland or wherever you are. Like get out of here. Those are the type of famous people I hate. Like if you're a millionaire going to a public spot, broad daylight, and you're not, and I'm being super positive. I even sang some of the lyrics of whatever song was popping, and you don't be like, give me a thumbs up, anything, and like point to your bodyguard to like try to get me. And then I was like, what you gonna do, bodyguard? You can't touch me. Like, and like straight, the bodyguard thought I was funny though.
What is the most impressive celebrity house you've been into?
Celebrities letting me in their house. That's funny. Well, it was David Foster's probably for Princess of Malibu.
Okay.
Malibu, Casablanca. Now Larry Ellison owns it.
When is the last time you or Heidi has had contact with Lauren Conrad, LC?
There was like a weird minute where Heidi and LC were texting when she thought our fake divorce was real and was like all excited and was like texting with Heidi. I was like, no, we just sold that as a story. Genius. So that was funny. I think, what was that, 2010? I don't know. I was literally sitting right there.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
She was like, come to Laguna like that. I told you. It's like, told you that we were going to be happily ever after and make a lot of money. Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, that's good. What's the one food that everyone's into, but you just can't seem to get into?
Uni, or I feel like everyone's always posting uni because it's expensive at sushi.
Yeah,
Heidi even eats it. I'm like, sea urchin? I don't know about that.
Okay. The best burrito in LA.
Well, right now the Pratt Daddy burrito, you can order it at Erewhon starting yesterday.
I saw that.
Hey.
What is in this burrito?
It's a breakfast burrito. It's served till 11. Bacon, hash browns, eggs, cheese, avocado, and then it comes with the habanero hot sauce. Almost done, honey. And then it comes on the side with their Erewhon habanero hot sauce, which usually is $20 just in a bottle. So that's like I had to negotiate for that one.
Yeah, it's burrito. Like you're getting your money's worth. It's a big.
Oh no, because I need to lose weight. I'm trying to share it with Heidi now. I'm like, eat a few bites of this.
All right, my last question for you. Yep. Would you consider doing a real MMA or boxing fight? Just because that's kind of the thing to do for people right now.
No, because they don't get paid. Oh my God. You see that? None of those guys got paid. Oh my God. I knew
Why?
it.
Why do it then? I think that's the whole reason to do it.
Upfront $5 million. When I read that with Bryce, I was like, that $5 million contract from Austin McBroom literally should have come with the cash. If you're going to go and train for months for that, talk about that. It took his momentum. It's like what the Hills did to me. Like if you change, like he was killing it in his game. And then it just became about fight, negativity, tough guy energy when he was just what, and then it made him negative because he thinks he's tough and hard. This kid, like I never fell for it, but I fell back because I felt like he should have stuck to just doing Bryce stuff, not even attaching to that. So yeah, somebody comes with $5 million. Like I'm not going to name a manager, but a manager we all know just called me and he's like, I got this all set up. I'm like, great. How much upfront money? He's like, oh, well, the upfront money's this, but the back end, it's all through social. I go, no, like I'm not gonna promote something for 4 months to imaginary maybe get some views. Get paid. Like you come with real millions of dollars to like first off, I'm out of shape. I know how much trainers cost to work out every day, to not drink, to not eat good food, to do all these things you're taking out. I just said no to a reality show in Australia for $500,000 upfront, not imaginary, because it would have taken my life away from me for 8 weeks. I value my time more than $500,000. What am I going to spend that on right now? Burritos? Like, so I got to the point where like, I look at things on like, what's worth my life? Like, you want me to leave hummingbirds I don't like to go to my parents' beach house. Heidi wants to get away because I'm like, I don't get to feed the hummingbirds for 2 days. Like, so my priorities are very different. So long story short, yeah, I'll do a lot of things. You show up with $5 million cash, but nobody's doing that. Like McGregor just supposedly just walked out for 2 million. So, right. If Conor McGregor's obviously he gets real back end, but if Conor McGregor's front end I could be wrong, but I heard 2 million. If he's only getting 2 million on front, no one's paying Spencer any of these imaginary numbers these guys all talk about.
Yeah.
And those Logan Paul numbers were all made up. Jake Paul number, all these are made up. Everyone's just playing Spencer lies 2007.
Yeah.
Hey, fake it till you make it, right?
2009, I think when I was beating OJ, Casey Anthony, all these people, if this era had happened back then on Most Hated, I think I could have got real $5 million to fight. So I think I missed a huge check. I should have organized that. I should be like, everyone hates me. Which professional fighter do you want to do a voting thing and got a UFC fighter? Everyone picks the fighter and then got in a cage and took. I'll never forget when MTV tried to set me up. They had that cage fighter reality show with that guy that ended up like getting 5150. Yeah,
fully
like went
down.
full nuts.
Guy. Yeah.
And then I got a call from like the president of MTV, Tony Center. He's like, "Hey, we got a great project for you." I'm like, "Oh yeah, what is it, Tony?" And he's like, "I know you do jujitsu." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "So we're thinking you'd be great for the premiere of the cage fighting show." It's like, "Yeah, because wearing a kimono on nice little mats and doing little techniques is a lot like getting punched in the face by a professional fighter for $15,000. No, thank you, sir." But like, what I should have done is got that idea and like gone to like a Dana White and been like, "Yo, let's do a spinoff, get all the hated famous people to get knocked out," and then I would have taken a check.
Listen, Spencer, we are your biggest fans. We are one of them. I thank you for being a good guy. I hope people know who you are and you're a business guy and you're smart and you're intelligent. And honestly, you're kicking ass with the crystals. Make sure you check them out at prattdaddy.com. That's PRATT daddy.com, and make sure you follow him on all social media platforms. He's one of my favorite follows. Honestly, he's a great guy. And Spencer, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. You're kicking ass. It's
Thank you.
An honor and a privilege, man. Thank you so much.
Get ready. I'm about to try to be famous again. I'm going for 13 minutes this time. I'm not going for 15, but like I'm about to really go all in. Like the Hills just pissed me off because they damaged my. I worked for 10 years to rebrand, and they're trying to go backwards. They're trying to like make 2007 Spencer happen, which isn't happening. So now I'm mad. So I'm like, oh, I'm about to get more famous than Viacom. Like that's my new goal, is to literally be more famous than a conglomerate. Like, oh, you were trying to play me? Okay, wrong play.
Dude, we're ready for it. We're ready for it. Like Adam said, we love you. And again, we've been reporting on you for years and years and years. So it's finally fun to actually get to sit and talk with you and kind of dig into your brain a little bit. It's been a fun afternoon, probably one of my favorite interviews, honestly.
100%.
Well, thank you for having me. And thanks for buying all those photos at TMZ.
No problem, buddy.
I never had an episode where I was smiling the entire time because it was just great. That was one of my favorite episodes we've ever did. I don't know.
I love Spencer Pratt so much. And again, it's the history there, the history of so many years of him just providing such good content that made my job easy over at TMZ, that I have wanted to sit down with Spencer legit for years. And it finally just happened.
Yeah, he's It was so good.
And he gave us so many good story, like the Brad and Angelina story about them like selling that phone. I'm like, it's those things that you're like, I thought that was the case, but like that was confirmation of it.
Yeah.
Or Taylor Swift being a super fan. Like, I love that stuff.
He's just honestly, he's hysterical. Like if we did a live show, he's the person I want on the live show. Like he's just funny. Like when you talk to me, you realize, man, this guy is great TV. He's just such a character, but it's really who he is. But he's funny and he's brutally honest. And I fucking, and
I like how much his like hatred is right now for the Hills. Like that's funny. You don't ever hear people bashing the show that they're on, but he's like, look, this is not. Like, you guys did me wrong. Like, you've screwed me over. You're not letting me capitalize. Like, I love the honesty. It's so good.
It's so good. But make sure you check out the video component of this episode. We put it on YouTube. We also read your reviews on air. So make sure you leave a review. It's the best thing to do to support this podcast and help out with our algorithm is leaving a review. And you could DM us questions. You could call us in questions and we'll actually give that to the guests. And again, you don't know who the guests are. And that's the fun part about it. You ask us a random question for some celebrity and we'll play it on air and ask that to the celebrity. Dax, what's the hotline?
833-HWR line, 833-HWR line. Leave us a drunk dial, leave us a message, questions, anything. We just like to hear from you guys. So feel free to dial away. I don't care. Leave your McDonald's order, whatever you want to do, just call us.
Yeah. So make sure you follow the podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. We're on it all. The Hollywood Raw podcast. You can find me at Adam Glyn, GLYN. You can find Dax Holt at DAXHOLT. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching the Hollywood Raw.
Make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe. That way we can be friends for life.